Red River Rivalry is about to go down this weekend. A lot of teams do their rivalry game towards the end of the year, Thanksgiving weekend. Not Texas and Oklahoma. They say, put us on center stage, week 6, in front of everybody. We want to play our rivalry game. This is going to be a fun one. Both programs in a different space right now. Texas favored by 6.5. Oklahoma is limping, which is even being a little bit kind, into this football game. Dillon Gabriel, I can't imagine he plays in this football game, given everything that's happened in the NFL with the Tua Tagovailoa situation. Went through a concussion protocol. Brent Venables is keeping it close to the vest. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Dillon Gabriel probably isn't playing in this game. For Texas, dropped a game to Texas Tech. They looked solid last week against West Virginia. The difference is Quinn Ewers is likely back in this game. Pete Thamel has reported on it. Our people at Inside Texas have communicated with us, and we're going to call this game like we think Quinn Ewers plays. All right? I'll leave it at that. For Oklahoma, like I said, they're on their last leg. And in a rivalry game where you've lost 2 games before this and really just, let's call it what it was, embarrassing fashion, especially defensively, I think they're a little bit dangerous. And you're saying, whoa, how are you saying they're dangerous? They just gave up 360 yards of rushing to TCU. Well, friend, what I will say is anytime you are on your last leg, if you're an animal and you are just sort of limping and you're wounded and this is about to be, not to be morbid, this is going to be the end for you, you are going to give one last aggressive kick and claw at whatever it is that's up against you. And for Oklahoma, they're going to give their last kick, their very best effort against Texas. So for Texas, on the other hand of that, on the other side of things, they got a golden hat kind of opportunity right now because everybody in that Texas fan base sees Oklahoma limping and wounded. And the Texas fan base, God bless them, they didn't forget last year and the way that thing went down. You know what they're saying? They're probably chanting it actually is, finish them. Do it. Take care of business. There's no mercy on that Texas side, and that's the beautiful thing about the rivalry game. It's really teeing up for Texas to, I think, take over. It's teeing up for Texas to take over this game, take over the situation, because what Oklahoma lacks defensively is just perfectly set up for Steve Sarkisian as an offensive coach and an offensive mastermind. So some hinge points in this game. Let's just go back to the breakdown. Can Oklahoma, if they were to win this game, I think it has to be this, can Oklahoma make this game just gross? What I mean by gross, I mean low scoring. I mean lots of turnovers. I mean offensive efficiency is just next to nothing. Like that is the kind of game that I think Oklahoma has to try and force. Now, the question I have is for Oklahoma, they're a really aggressive team defensively. That's Brent Venables' blueprint. They have been aggressive these last 2 weeks and gotten burned. They have swung hard, they have whiffed hard, they have missed, and it has been embarrassing. How aggressive are they going to be against Texas? Because like I said, they probably have to be a little bit aggressive to try and force some turnovers and create some chaos. But on the other side, like I said, if you swing and you miss, you're going to allow a lot of points to Texas. So I think the early going of this and how that defense tries to attack Quinn Ewers and company will be very, very critical. Because if it's a clean game, if Texas is able to sort of sit back and they don't turn the ball over, maybe they go out on downs a couple of times. If it ends up being a clean sort of game, neither team turns the ball over too much, special teams isn't really a factor, Quinn Ewers is going to have target practice. I hate to say it, but that's just the reality of what it is. Texas feels really good about what they have on the outside. They feel really good about Xavier Worthy. Had his coming out party in this game a season ago. They think he could put up the same kind of numbers in this game. So a clean game favors Texas. For Oklahoma, can you make it mucky? Can you make it just a disgusting game, low scoring? You're probably not playing with Dillon Gabriel, so the quarterback situation doesn't favor you. You make it just a messy game. That's how I think Oklahoma has a chance in this one. The other hinge point for me is, can Bijan Robinson be a catalyst for Texas? We talked about Texas liking their matchups outside. That's true. But a lot of what they want to do offensively is off the run-pass option. That is like the bread and butter for Steve Sarkisian in this offense. And the run-pass option is predicated on being able to run the football. because then you have the option to throw off of it because the linebackers are trying to come up and play the run, and then you have big plays behind it. In the most simplistic form, that's how this thing works. So there's questions about Texas's interior offensive line. I know there's been good numbers from Bijan Robinson, but talking to some people closer to that program, there is a marginal level of concern for what they have in the trenches there. And so obviously this would build confidence going forward for Texas, which is a big deal. But just for this gameplay itself, to have Bijan Robinson be over the 100-yard mark again, to be able to dictate that tempo again to Oklahoma and wear them down, I think that would do a lot for the psyche of this Texas team, and I think it would equally impact the psyche of this Oklahoma team. Because how many of you know, if you're a safety, if you're a linebacker, any sort of defensive player, and you have to come up and tackle Bijan Robinson time and time and again, and he's picking up 5 yards, he's picking up 3 yards, it's a 7-yard. The dam can only hold up for so long before Bijan Robinson's busting off a 40-yard touchdown run, or, God forbid, even longer. So for Texas, can Bijan Robinson be the bell cow for you for this game? That's only going to make things even more noticeable on the outside, only cause those safeties to creep up even more, and then there's even bigger plays in the pass game. So that'll be crucial for this game. The final hinge point for me is who responds to momentum swings. Because Oklahoma is down bad right now. You know it, I know it. The phenomenal people that watch this channel in Norman, Oklahoma, they know it. And does a momentum swing early towards Texas take the last bit of air out of this Oklahoma team? It may not be for the rest of the season, but just in this game. The habit of losing is a real thing. It hurts on the very beginning, like it hurts on the front end, and it's tough. I mean, that loss to Kansas State stung, I promise you. But the unfortunate reality is you get used to it. And so if Texas draws first blood, like I said, and gets that first swing of momentum, does Oklahoma lose a little bit of fight? I don't think that's the kind of program that Brent Venables is running, but I think it's fair to ask the question, how do you respond to Texas throwing the first punch in a time where you've had a lot of punches thrown at you, just to be real? Now, on the same token, for Texas, that's sort of been the question around this program, right? What's the culture like? What's the competitive maturity like? What's the competitive stamina like? You do it 1 week against Bama, and then the next couple of weeks you go to Lubbock and you get an L there. Like, that wasn't the same team that showed up in Texas Tech and the one that was playing against Alabama and Austin. I understand the quarterback situation was different, but we got to be real. The psyche of this program is something that we have talked about for a long time, well before this show was a reality. So in a game that you really should win based on what Vegas is saying for Texas, can you do what you're expected to do? Can you handle that kind of pressure to beat a team that you thought you should have beat a year ago? The competitive maturity to not be dictated by the logo across from you for Texas is what I'm watching for very closely in this game. Pressure is a privilege, and a little bit of pressure is on Texas right now. Can they handle it? I'm excited to see. When it comes down to our prediction for this game, it's unfortunate, but I think Oklahoma is just in a really rough spot right now. No Dylan Gabriel likely is a very big deal. You got guys like Javonte Barnes, Eric Gray. They've toted the rock well for you. But at the end of the day, if Quinn Ewers is back in this game, and we fully believe that he will be, Texas should be able to score in bunches. If Texas scores in bunches, that puts pressure on Oklahoma to respond with their offense. No knock on Jeff Lebby and no knock on what they have there in the cupboard at quarterback, but I don't think it's enough to score with Texas. So at the end of the day, we think that there's a little bit of fight early from this Oklahoma team, but at the end of the day, Oklahoma doesn't have the firepower to match Texas. Texas wins this game 31-17. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.